it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be talking about my top 11 favorite YA authors. So this is going to be a really quick intro because the video is going to be pretty long since I have so many authors to talk about, but I'm only going to be talking about authors that I've read more than one of their books, or if they have one series, I'm going to try and do ones where I have read more than one of their series, so I've kind of gotten a good sampling of what they have written. So on that note, a notable exception is the author of my absolute favorite book, The Book Thief, which is by Marcus Zusak. I'm not including him on here because I've only read one of his books, which is crazy. I just need to pick up more of his stuff, but I haven't yet, so I feel like I'm just hesitant to call him one of my favorite authors, having read only one of his books. I also wanted to get out of the way, Rick Riordan mostly writes middle grade, so I won't be including him on this list, even though I do really love him, and J.K. Rowling, also her books are technically middle grade for the most part. So that being said, in no particular order, let's just get into the list. So first up we have Becky Albertalli, who is the author of The Upside of Unrequited, as well as Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda. Now what I love about Becky Albertalli is the fact that she makes characters that are so realistic and relatable, and you kind of feel like you're just a wallflower observing real people's lives, like a real teenager full of that angst and kind of confusion about who they are. And I just love the fact that she is able to add this certain authenticity to her novels that makes them so enjoyable and really quite relatable, especially The Upside of Unrequited. I found this one to be so incredibly relatable for me, and I loved it, and I did love this one as well. She's just an incredible author, and I love her contemporaries. Next up we have the great Sarah J. Maas, who has written a whole slew of giant books, which we have right here. So we have first her Throne of Glass series, and then the Court of Thorns and Roses series, which the third book will be out by the time this video is up, but I am presently in Europe when you are watching this video. I don't know where in Europe, but I'm somewhere in Europe right now, and I have not read that book yet, and I don't own it yet because this is being pre-filmed in April, but I need to put these down because they are so heavy. Oh my goodness. So I'm just gonna hold up the first two books to each of her series for you because that was a big pile and I am a weakling, so I can't carry all that. But she is an amazing author because one, she's able to do retellings, which is something I love and I think is super difficult to do, but she's very successful in hers, and two, she creates these intricate fantasy worlds that you can just get lost in. Like, the fact that these worlds are so well made that they seem like they could actually exist is just crazy, and she's also one of those authors that just gets better and better with every book. Her books keep me hooked. She has these incredible characters. They keep me guessing and on the edge of my seat the entire time. I never know what's going to happen, and she just has such a vivid writing style that makes you just get immersed in her world, and you just feel like it's real and like you're there and like you're alongside these characters on these crazy adventures. It's just absolutely amazing, and I love her writing for that. Now her books are giant, so they take me a really long time to read, but I'm never disappointed in the end. I'm always glad that I have read them because they are just so amazing, and I just fall in love with everything that she does. Also, please no Aquawar spoilers because, like I said, I haven't read it yet, so please no. Next up is Nicola Yoon, who is the author of Everything Everything and The Sun is Also a Star. I love both of these books because I love how diverse her stories are. I think that is awesome. I love the fact that her characters, once again, are relatable, and I think for me to read a contemporary and really enjoy it, I have to relate to the characters in some sort of way. Like, they have to seem realistic to me, and her characters seem very realistic, and she's also able to tackle huge issues in her books, especially in The Sun is Also a Star. She takes on an issue and she just creates this beautiful but heartbreaking story surrounding it. Everything Everything, she does something kind of similar, not as intense as this one. I would say that this one is my favorite as opposed to this one, but I did still enjoy both of them. They're both really quick reads, but reads that will stay with you for a very long time. And also, I think the movie for Everything Everything looks like it is going to be absolutely incredible, so I cannot wait for that. Next up is Brutus Apaches, who is the author of Between Shades of Grey as well as Salt to the Sea. She writes World War II historical fictions, and this one follows a Lithuanian genocide. This one follows a bunch of characters as they are at the tail end of the war and they are trying to flee from Germany. Honestly, her books are so incredible and just heartbreaking and real and raw, and that's what I love about them. They are unflinchingly honest stories that are telling you what happened in those times, and it's not sugarcoating anything. It is just the story as it is, just the bare bones of the story, and she is able to create these characters that you just absolutely love and you feel for them and you wish you could just go back in time and save these people. It makes makes you interested in history. You want to learn about these time periods and just educate yourself about it. It is so amazing, and I love all of her work. She's just such an incredible writer. Her stories are so gripping and just, oh my god, they are just amazing. You have to read them. Next up is Elizabeth Wein, who is the author of the Codename Verity duology featuring Codename Verity and Rose Under Fire, and also Black Dove White Raven, which is separate from this duology. She also came out with the Pearl Thief, which is a prequel to these ones, so it's kind of a trilogy now, but that is coming out on May 2nd. You are seeing this video sometime in May once again, but I have not gotten it yet because it is April and I'm really sad and I need to read it, but I will read it as soon as I get back from Europe. But Elizabeth Wein is kind of like Brutus Apaches in the fact that she gives these unflinchingly honest stories of women during World War II, and specifically women pilots. And I love the fact that it is pilots because that's such a cool perspective to get, and she's really kind of empowering these females and showing how females contributed to World War II and the war effort, and I thought that was absolutely amazing, and I love her stories. They are so heartbreaking. Like, they just absolutely tear out your heart and just stomp on it a million times, and just, it is the saddest thing in the world, but they are so good, and you will be so glad that you have read her stories because they're so authentic, and it seems like you're there, which is terrifying, but it just transports you to that terrifying time in history, and you can't help but listen to the stories of her characters. I love that she tackles different points in history and she focuses on pilots. I think it is amazing, and also the fact that she focuses on women. I am all about that female empowerment. Next up is actually two authors, and that is Amie Kaufman and Meagan Spooner. So they co-wrote the Starbound trilogy, which I'm only showing you two of the books because I haven't actually finished that trilogy yet. And then Amie Kaufman also co-wrote the Illuminae files with Jay Kristoff, but Meagan Spooner wrote this book on her own. I'm gonna put these down so that I can show you that better. So these two, the two authors wrote together, and I loved it. They are such cool space stories, and the fact that I love a space story means that it's pretty good because I don't generally like sci-fi, so that is definitely high praise, I feel like. I mean, not that like my opinion is the end all and be all, but if you like a sci-fi and you aren't really a sci-fi fan, chances are you might like it. And then Meagan Spooner came out with Hunted, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's not sci-fi at all, it is fantasy, and it is amazing. It read like a real fairy tale, which was just incredible. Like, the writing of both these women is so great. And then Amie Kaufman co-wrote the Illuminae files with Jay Kristoff. Now, Amie Kaufman in this is kind of like a multimedia sort of sci-fi story, and it is so cool. It keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time, and it's just amazing. So I love both of these authors because their writing goes seamlessly together, and also apart they are able to write incredibly well, and I haven't read anything by them that I haven't enjoyed, which is a very good sign. Next up is Libba Bray, who is the author of Beauty Queens. I'm throwing them on my bed, they're fine. The Gemma Doyle trilogy, which has A Great and Terrible Beauty, Rebel Angels, also The Sweet Far Thing, which I haven't read yet, which is why I'm not showing it, and also the Diviners series, I believe it's going to be, which has The Diviners and Layer of Dreams. I love Libba Bray because of the diversity of her writing. She's able to tackle paranormal and kind of the occult in books like these, which have witches and ghosts and all that stuff, but then she also has this feminist satire in Beauty Queens, which is so good and enjoyable and just absolutely incredible. I loved it, and I honestly haven't read anything by her that I haven't enjoyed. She has characters that are, once again, really vivid and amazing and just keep me hooked. Like, I need someone who writes very vivid characters that I feel like I'm going along the story with them and I can get very immersed in the world that they are in, and that's exactly what Libba Bray does, especially in The Diviners. It's this creepy, scary 1920s New York, but I felt like I was right there with her, and I was all like dressed up like a flapper, going to speakeasies and all that stuff. I loved it. It was amazing, but it was also terrifying because ghosts. But I love her books, and they are just so enjoyable. She has really weird books, but they really work. The next author is Morgan Matson, who is author of Second Chance Summer, once again going on my bed, Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, Since You've Been Gone, and The Unexpected Everything. Now, much like my comments for other contemporary authors, she has very relatable characters, but she also has contemporaries that are hard-hitting. To a certain extent, I like contemporaries that are just fluffy and really easy reads, but I love a good contemporary that is fluffy and easy, but also has a very hard-hitting aspect to it, and I find that her books are able to do that a lot. They kind of tackle issues, or not really issues, but but they take on things that you wouldn't normally see in a fun kind of summer contemporary, and it works so well because it's the mixture of that fun with something more serious, and she has kind of a perfect balance of the two, which just is amazing. And I love her characters, I love the relationships that are portrayed in these novels, and I just can't wait for her to come out with something else. I know she's coming out with another book. I can't remember if it's coming out in May or in June, but nonetheless, whenever it comes out, I will get my hands on it. Next up is John Green, who is the author of An Abundance of Catherines, Looking for Alaska, The Fault in Our Stars, and Paper Towns. I swear these books aren't being damaged by throwing them on my bed. They are fine. He's also the co-author of Will Grayson alongside David Levithan, but I have no clue where my copy of that one went. But I love John Green because he creates characters that I kind of aspire to be like because they are wise beyond their years. That's something that I can only take so much of, but I feel like it doesn't really bother me in his novels because the writing is beautiful and it kind of fits. Like, if his characters were kind of the normal intelligence of a teenager, I just don't think it would really work because his writing is really, like, you can just tell that he's very wise and he has kind of this way with words, and his characters kind of match that, which I love. And I just think that his books have held a special place in my heart because they were some of the books that introduced me to reading, and specifically the world of YA, and I owe a lot to them. I didn't really like An Abundance of Catherines, but I do still love him as an author, and I will read anything he comes out with. Next up is Leigh Bardugo, who is the author of the Grisha trilogy, which has, this is very difficult, Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. And she's also, this is such a struggle, she's also the author of the Six of Crows duology, which has Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, as well as Wonder Woman, which I have, but I haven't read yet. Also, that's not coming out until August, so you know. Leigh Bardugo is one of those authors who has just an incredible cast of characters that you love. Like, Six of Crows specifically, that group of characters I could literally read about forever. I could also read about the world that she's created forever because it's kind of like this Russian-esque world that is just crazy and cool and intricate, and the magic system is amazing, and I love her writing. It just is so fantastic, and everything about her books I just love, and I can't wait to read Wonder Woman actually because I want to see what she's going to do with something outside of the Grisha universe. I think that would be really cool. So those are all 11 of my favorite YA authors. There are so many great authors in YA that it was really hard for me to narrow this list down, but I managed to do it, and I will do an update as soon as I have more authors to talk about. So let me know who your top 3 favorite YA authors are in the comments, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!